I'm Julie Saunders.
I'm Jan Wilson. Julie and I both have experience as school librarians, and we've worked together as district library leaders.
In each episode, we'll dive into our profession with interviews and meaningful content to inspire you. We're not experts,
but we're pretty close.
The ideas and opinions shared by any host, guest, or listener are their own and do not represent those of any respective school district.
Welcome to Library Exchange. This episode is sponsored by Mackin. For over 40 years, Mackin has provided pre-K through 12th grade libraries and classrooms with access to over 4 million printed and digital fiction and nonfiction titles.
The 26-time multi-award-winning digital content management system, Mackin Via, along with divisions Mackin Library, Mackin Classroom, Mackin Maker, Mackin Learning, and the brand new whole school resource management system, Mackin Vision, help to create a truly unique and robust educational resource company that schools and educators have relied on year after year.
For more information, visit mackin.com today.
Welcome, everyone. We're excited to kick off the month of May with you. We have so much to talk about with our guest today, so let's get right to it. Mike Rawls is an elementary school librarian who was named Teacher of the Year in 2018. And in 2021, he was awarded School Librarian of the Year for Atlanta Public Schools.
And those honors are just the beginning. To share a few facts you may not know about him, Mike was named a Master Teacher of the Month by Epic, and he shared his expertise in 3 different books, contributing to Careers in Library and Information Services, edited by Priscilla Shantz, and 2 titles by Dr. Jenna Copper, Keeping the Wonder and Roll Call.
His influence extends to social media, too. With nearly 130,000 followers on Instagram, he seems to be part of everyone's professional learning network as @the Book Wrangler. Mike, welcome to Library Exchange.
Yay, thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here with you guys.
So to get us started, we like to give our listeners a little bit of a foundation. So will you tell us about your school, the grade levels there, the number of students and staff? Like, what's your school and community like?
Yeah, so I work in Atlanta Public Schools. My school is located kind of in the heart of Midtown in a little neighborhood that is pretty well-to-do. And most of my kids are walkers. So they walk to school. They live nearby their school. It's very neighborhoody feel. There are about 700 kids in the school. It's predominantly white, but we do have a small ESOL population. We have about 34, I believe, homerooms. So I see all of those kids every other week.
Wow,
What grade
great.
levels?
Oh, it's kindergarten through 5th grade this year, but we are adding a pre-K next year. So that'll be a new little twist.
Oh, okay.
So, Mike, since your student population isn't very diverse, how do you build a collection so that your students see a wide range of perspectives and experiences?
Yeah, so I mean, we've all heard about mirrors and windows and how books are, both of those things for our kids. And I think it's really important for my kids. A large portion of them have so much. They have traveled to Europe. They've been places. So they see a lot that way. But my main goal is for them to see books through windows. I want them to see other experiences, other perspectives. So I really focus on being intentional about not only when I'm curating my collection that there's diversity in terms of family structure, there's diversity in terms of religious background, language, all of those things, so that when they go out into the real world, when they leave that little neighborhood of safety, that they see from stories that, there's nothing to be afraid of.
Right.
That a lot of times there's a common thread that weaves through all of our stories that makes us have the human experience. So I just am trying to be intentional about the ones that I share during story time and then the ones that are in our collection.
So as Julie mentioned earlier, we all know you have a massive following on Instagram. I mean, everything you post is tied somehow to literacy. So is it okay if we spend a few minutes highlighting a few posts that really resonated with us?
Sure, I'd love that.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Rapid fire. I'm just kidding. So in your post about the masculine energy we need, you included covers of specific picture books. What was the message you wanted to share in that post?
I just really think it's important for us to kind of let go of gender norms. So it's not just for boys, but because there's so much kind of toxic masculinity that's talked about, right now.
Mhm.
That's what that post was really about. But I really want boys to feel comfortable in their skin, experiencing all kinds of emotions and feelings. And I want them to grow up feeling safe with those feelings and knowing that they can cry, that they can like different things, that they can have different experiences from what might be considered typical masculine, typical boy.
Mhm.
That we kind of hold on to those stereotypes even as adults. I mean, teachers and librarians, we all hold on to those things that we grew up with, those societal expectations. And so I really want kids to, like I said, just feel safe being who they are. One of the questions I get asked the most in terms of book requests, it'll be asked, would you have suggestions for boys? And my response is not really, because what is your boy like?
Mhm.
I can't give you one list of books that I'm going to guarantee that all boys are going to like.
Mhm.
We assume that all boys like sports. I grew up not liking sports at all. I still don't like sports to this day. And I think, being my authentic self, when it's when it's Super Bowl season and all the kids are like, Mr. Rawls, who are you going for? And I have to tell them neither team. And I think it's just really good for boys to see, that they're kind of taken aback, like, what? You don't watch football?
Right.
But I think it's important for them to know that not every guy, not every boy likes football, and
Right.
that it's okay, you know. So that's what that post was really about.
I love that. And I really think that breaks down those stereotype barriers that so many of us that feel and experience in life, no matter what your gender is. That's amazing. So in December, you posted that we shouldn't lock any doors when it comes to literacy formats like
hmm
audiobooks or graphic novels. What led you to make that post?
Well, now I won't name any names, but there are still teachers at my school who and parents too who you know still subscribe to the idea that the way that they like to read, or the way that they were brought up reading, or the way they were taught to read is the right way. And there are so many more options for kids. And I just think that when you say this way is wrong, I mean, why would you shut any door when a kid is
Mhm.
reading? The graphic novel thing has really become quite the battle, and it's not going anywhere. I mean, my collection of graphic novels has expanded massively over the last few years. Every book is being turned into, as you know, a graphic
Mhm.
novel. And it's just the way kids are reading. And we as adults, as teachers, as educators, as librarians, really have to transform our minds and our thinking, because even like standardized tests have kind of caught up. Like they are looking at podcasts and including like, audio components to tests, and pulling evidence from those kinds of media as well. And so they've caught on that this is how it's going to be. This is how kids are going to receive information. It's not the way we were brought up necessarily, reading only a chapter book, that was the only way, or and that you had to hold the book and you had to turn the pages. I really like to emphasize, for parents too, that, when their kids are reading a recipe, when their kids are reading the directions to a game or a map or anything really. I mean, why would you close the door on anything and force them into a box,
Mhm.
you know?
Yeah, there's value in every format. I think that's
Yeah.
what you said in your post,
Yeah.
actually. Okay, so will you describe those height comparison charts that you have in your library? I think you have one for fictional characters and one for animals, right?
Yeah, this is one of the most engaging activities in my library. I mean, literally kids use it every single day, from the first graders to the fifth graders. I mean, surprisingly, the fifth graders use it a lot. They really want to know that they're growing. So, yeah, I have two charts. One is fictional characters, and I just took characters from books and I gave them a height that could be possible. It's not, necessarily accurate, but and then I have one for animals, which is always a hit too. And everything in my library I try to tie back to books. So, of course, with the book characters, there's a book suggestion staring right in front of them. With the animals, I tied it to, books that have those animals in them. And so everything kind of leads kids trickily, back to books.
Yeah, that's genius, actually,
It
Mike.
really is. It encourages all the excitement, and then it gives them a visual. I think it's almost like an invisible book talking away.
Yeah, and it's a little bit of science and a little bit of math, snuck in there too. So they're measuring themselves, they're comparing themselves. And the one that really throws everybody over the edge is the ostrich.
Oh.
So apparently, a male ostrich, this is according to Google, can grow up to 9 feet tall.
What?
So
I didn't
yeah,
know that.
so he's all the way at the top of the ceiling. And so when kids spot that, they are just like, "No way, no way." But all of the animals on my animal chart are based off of full-grown adult males. So it's
Mhm.
it's possible that they could be that big, not necessarily that all of them are that big.
Oh, well, it
Oh.
really does encourage a sense of wonder too for the kids, to want to ask more questions. I love that. And now a word from our sponsors.
It's time to talk about our friends at Kids Discover. They're an award-winning educational publisher that's been a favorite among students and school librarians for over 3 decades.
Their digital learning platform, Kids Discover Online, is a game changer for elementary and middle schoolers by providing access to thousands of science, social studies, and nonfiction articles.
And unlike other databases in the market, Kids Discover Online's modern interface is highly visual. It actually gets kids excited about reading and learning.
Plus, it's built for every student. We're talking multiple reading levels, translations in 28 languages, and a fully accessible interface for all learners.
You can actually get 60 days of trial access for your entire school right now by visiting kidsdiscover.com/digital.
So there's another display that I think that I've seen on your Instagram post where it's the Where in the World display. That idea of the book covers as passports is just a really great visual. Can you explain more about the display and what kinds of reactions have you seen?
Yeah, I used to actually have a big map on the wall before we remodeled, renovated, and it was kind of a permanent installation. And so when I saw that map and I inherited that library, I was like, how can I make that about books? I took little book covers, printed them out, and I put them on the location. Well, we don't have that anymore, so I did a bulletin board recently, and it's right outside the library. So I love changing it out and getting it. My bulletin boards are always interactive. And for that one, it's been really nice to see kids stop and that, again, I'm sneaking in things like geography. They're
Mhm.
not being taught it, they're not being explicitly told, you look for this or lines of latitude or equator or north or south, but they are doing it, whether they realize it or not. And so that's what I like about that. Again, it's a book suggestion right in front of your face. When they go by that map, they're spotting things that they know or things that they want to check out, and they come to the library and ask about them.
I love how you weave the passive programming in to all the different ways where it as the kids are just looking for books, they don't realize that they're learning all these extra things too. You have quality learning experiences through passive programming.
Yeah, absolutely.
So on those book covers, if I can just ask, it's where the author is born, or is it the setting of the book tied to the country, or is it just from
All of
different?
those are based on the setting of the book, yeah,
Oh, okay.
where
Okay.
they're located. So, yeah, I tried to find something from every continent, even Antarctica and Australia and all of them.
And you were successful at finding the Antarctica book?
Yeah, there was
What?
there was something about Ernest Shackleton and,
Okay.
explorers who went down to Antarctica. So, yeah, there's something for everybody.
Great. So, Mike, I
Yes.
think one question that people have is what software product do you use to create your designs? I know that can be an intimidating thing for school librarians who want to do some of the same things that you produce. Are you willing to reveal that?
Sure, so for a
It's
lot of
top secret, right?
Yeah, well, it's pretty simple. I'm not a Canva user, so all you Canva users, I'm sorry to disappoint you, but I use good old-fashioned PowerPoint for most things. Now, for my slideshows that I do with my story time, I do use Google Slides. But for everything that I make on Instagram and for a lot of the products that I make that are in my freebies folder, that are all done on PowerPoint. I just use a blank slide and then I just start creating. So a lot of people have asked me, how do you do that? I want mine to look like yours, but I really don't know how to teach someone to have a certain aesthetic.
Mhm.
It's how I see things to be clean and crisp, and I like, rows and columns, and So I'm not sure how to explain how to do it, but those are the programs that I use.
But I think just knowing that it's PowerPoint and Google Slides occasionally is less intimidating for someone who wants to give it a try.
Yeah, absolutely. It's super easy to work with. I like having a blank canvas. Sometimes in Canva, when you have so many templates and you have so many options, which is great, but I like to have a blank canvas and everything else come from here.
Yeah, great.
You have a great eye for a balance, so you can design well. So your black and white posts on Instagrams are always eye-catching. I'm sure people have told you that before. That's just something that comes naturally to you?
Yeah, I don't know. Like that's become my more recent aesthetic for sure, is the big, bold text. And then hopefully, that causes people to stop, and pause and scroll or swipe through and see more. I don't know really where that came from. I think I did one and then I was like, I'm just going to keep doing this as my
I love
attention
it.
grabber. Yeah.
You have your black and white text, and then you usually have those colorful book covers. So there's a contrast there. And so it really draws your eye in. So I'm glad that you mentioned it, because your Google Drive called Freebies, because you do share a lot of resources for free with everyone. So if people don't know, they can just go to your Instagram bio, and that links to the Google Drive called Freebies, or they can just Google the keywords Linktree, the real Book Wrangler, and they can have access. So,
can I just make a comment?
Yeah.
So one of the things that I love, and I think this is why you have so many followers, I could be wrong, but I think it's why you have so many followers, is that you're not just posting the things you're trying to encourage people to read. You're not just posting your bulletin boards. You're not just posting passive programming. But what resonates with me is that you always have an intentional message behind every post. And I think that's the thing that people connect with you. Of course, they want the creative and crafty ideas for sprucing up passive programming or book talks or encouraging reading. Of course, that's what all librarians want to do. But I think it's that intentional message that's behind good collection development and good promotion of reading that really it hits the mark.
Well, thank you. I hope so. That's the Instagram thing was really a big surprise for me. I didn't intend for it to get so much traction or so much following, but it does. I think you mentioned like a professional network, and it's really what I was using it for as a teacher before I became a librarian. Was I wanted to share my own classroom ideas, but I also wanted to gain knowledge from all the teachers I was following. And so the same happened when I transitioned to the library. And then it's also just given me a platform and a voice. It's also a place where I learn a lot. I learn a lot about myself. When topics do come up, I'm trying to learn and become a better person and a better educator and more aware of everything that's going on in our political climate in our country, because I want to bring it back to the library in terms of children's books, because, these kids are going to face things. These kids are facing, big things, and I want them to have at least access to it. I'm not sharing every single political story. And a lot of people think that, as librarians, we're feeding kids these ideas or these bad things, but really kids just want Dragon Masters. They want Babysitter's Club. I wish people could see what's really happening in school libraries, because it's just kids being kids. They don't want tough stuff. And I feel like the tough stuff can be there because someone may need it. Mm-hmm. And I think it's also great to have it there for our families, for when parents need to have those difficult conversations or something does come up, a book is a way in.
Yes.
But yeah, kids are there for unicorns and dragons and, like I said, Babysitter's Club. Man, they're not coming for the stuff that people in the news are saying they're coming for.
So true.
That's a great statement, though, Mike, because, a book can lead to a conversation between a parent and their child. So I appreciate that you said that. So you mentioned it earlier. So looking ahead to next year, you have the addition of pre-K at your school. So any plans for that? Okay, so you guys need to watch the YouTube channel to see Mike's face. But what is next for you?
Well, I actually am excited because it's a challenge, and I like things that will kind of shake things up for me. I feel like I have things pretty down pat. And when I first became a librarian, kindergarten was the challenge. right? So it was very nerve-wracking for me to be with a kindergarten class. And so now I've gotten used to them. I know what they can do. I know what they're capable of. And so it's growth for me as an educator, as a librarian. And I'm excited that we will have story time. But from what I've heard, the aide or the teacher themselves will be with me. So at least to start with. So there'll be the little itty bitty ones coming in, but I'm excited to share stories and books with them too, because you can never start too early sharing those good stories with kids.
And you can have them stand up beside the little height chart.
Exactly.
Who will they be the same size as?
And they'll be much smaller than the emperor penguin for sure.
Okay.
So, Mike, as we wrap up, please remind our listeners how they can follow you.
The only place I am available online is at the Book Wrangler on Instagram. So come join me there. That's where I share all of my ideas. I am not on X or Facebook. So that is where you find me. That's where all the good stuff is.
I think it's great stuff.
Thank
So,
you.
Mike, it's been a pleasure to have you as a guest. And I just want to say that Julie and I are so thankful that you're a school librarian.
Well, thank you. I'm so excited to be amongst you two. Thanks for inviting me. And yeah, that's awesome. It went by so quick.
Just a reminder that we have another Demco giveaway with this episode. Check out our Instagram this Thursday, May 7th, for the trivia question. You'll have 5 days to answer.
Yeah, Julie, are you ready for this? The winner will receive a Restination Lounge rocker from Demco.
What?
It's just as cool as it sounds, and it comes in different colors.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Wow, what a great giveaway. That sounds like the perfect spot for a student to curl up with a book or just recharge. So don't forget to DM your answer for your chance to win.
Yeah, so you can't win if you don't enter the raffle, and it's free. All right. Okay, so Julie, we've exchanged ideas, and it's time for our recap. Why don't you get us started?
Sure. So I know that we already know this. We love talking to school librarians, and Mike is just so genuine and authentic, just really a breath of fresh air when you're thinking about the true meaning of librarianship. He's just so intentional with his messaging through book promotion. I love hearing about his perspective on gender stereotypes in particular. Yes. I certainly can relate being a woman and growing up in a world that constantly wants to define who you are. It's one of the reasons that I fell in love with reading in the first place. I have always been just really attracted to strong female characters who challenge those traditional stereotypes.
Yeah, he's such a great guy. The topic for me that I kept thinking about was the conversation we had about not locking any doors to literacy. So that discussion made me think about a post recently on one of the librarian Facebook groups where a librarian was asking for articles that supported the value of graphic novels. And she needed to share with her staff or administration. I'm not sure which one, but Julie, you know that graphic novels are the format that we get the most questions about, you know? He said, why would you ever say that something a kid is reading is wrong? And that's staying with me because, man, that's the response I needed back in the day.
Yeah.
I mean, I would want to say it just like that, but you can't. But I think we can say to other adults, you know, I'm curious, what is it about graphic novels that makes you feel like it's not reading? You know, or it's not a real book, or it's the same thing when people say something about audiobooks. Like, what is it about an audiobook that makes you feel like it's not reading? Because let's celebrate kids reading in whatever format they choose to read, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
Julie, so guess what? Well, you can't guess. In elementary school, I read comics for years, like all of the Archie characters, Betty, Veronica. I'm older than you. Do you know who they are?
Yeah, did you grow up in the late 1900s?
Do you know who Scrooge McDuck is?
Sure, yeah.
Okay. So I'll say this. Somehow I was able to go to college and earn a teaching degree and then onto graduate degrees as a librarian. even though I read those. Anyway,
Wow.
all joking aside, the last thing I want to say is we have to continue educating people to be open to all formats, because the definition of literacy is not just the ability to read a print book. And I have one more thing to say. It would be like someone saying, oh, you're not allowed to watch a YouTube video to learn to change a tire. You have to learn to do it like we did back in the day. You know, when you're stuck on the side of the road waiting for a stranger to stop and help you. That's a little dramatic, I know, but it's the same thing. Like, we've evolved. Times have changed.
They have changed. So I really hope that librarians who listen will share this particular episode with their language arts teachers. One, it might help them understand that we are here to promote a love of reading, not to actually teach students how to read. And two, that reading is reading. Parameters for reading may work in certain situations, but providing choice, variety, and access in the library is how you encourage students to choose to be a lifelong reader.
Oh, Julie, that's a great point. To share this episode with those roles in the school that need to listen to it.
Yes.
So let's move to his displays for a minute, because he's so darn creative, and he makes his displays interactive, and he's throwing in those geography, math, and science skills. And like you said, he's creating a learning experience at the same time that he's promoting books in his collection. And you and I talk about library displays a lot, not necessarily when we're recording, but this is a perfect example of how displays aren't just decoration, it's marketing, because students stop to look at the display. And in this case, they interact with it. And before you know it, they're checking out a book, or they're curious about a new topic, or little Jan would learn where Australia is on a map.
Yeah, it's awesome. Just so many great ideas, from the character height displays to the passport displays. The message here is, how do you introduce your students to the world through books? Yeah. Mike is intentional in all of his messaging, and it works.
Yes. We could have had like a 2-hour episode.
Definitely.
Everyone, do yourself a favor and follow Mike on Instagram at the Book Wrangler. His content is 3 words. Amazing. Julie, I know you don't like it when I do that, but anyway.
I love it.
In his bio, you can connect straight to his Google Drive of freebies. And since it's the first of the month and those paychecks just hit, you might want to browse his Teacher Pay Teacher store and merchandise too. It's May, everyone. Thanks for listening, and you will not want to miss our May 18th episode with the hip-hop storytime librarian, Mr. Billy. Say bye, Julie.
Bye. Make sure to visit our website at www.libraryexchangepodcast.com.
You'll find episode notes and links. You can even submit your questions or inspiring stories that may be featured on the podcast.
If you're looking for some swag for your library or book-loving friends, visit libraryexchange.etsy.com.
That's a lot of URLs, so I'm glad you had to say all of that, Julie.
Thanks for joining us. We can't wait to have you back for our next episode of Library Exchange.